Welcome to South Harmon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, buddy. Wednesday night AMA. We are live and in the building. Hope everyone's having a great day. Adam, what's up, buddy? Senior Bowl week feels good. That
Senior
we are
Bowl
out
week,
here.
man.
Yeah.
You ready to talk about some Senior Bowl? What have you heard on the Senior Bowl, honestly, just off the rip here? Ollie Gordon is a name that I'm kind of getting a lot of buzz from, man.
Dude, I was looking at Cody's tweets. This was from yesterday, right? Obviously, the measurables came in, and that was the hot topic. 233 pounds. People were like, "Oh, he's too fat."
I seen that, man.
Little bit of a disagreement. Somebody out there thought he was about 200 pounds when he had his great 2023 season. That was not factual at all. The man to me has always been about 210, 215.
Yeah, 210, I think is right. Yep.
Yeah. But the boy, he looking thick out there. Cody Carpentier comped him to Najee Harris, but better. Like better. Not Najee Harris now, but Najee Harris.
Maybe rookie year?
Yeah,
there
Najee
we
Harris
go.
rookie year. There you go.
Najee Harris rookie year. People forget this because like Fat Najee gets a lot of knock, Mike. But go check out if you don't remember, the rookie year Najee was fucking crazy good. Now yards per carry weren't good, but he got 90 catches, so dude was killing it, man.
I got to give a shout out to DB too because he posted the Discord. I think it was like last week. He was like, "Anybody got a question? It might have been on a show. Oh, it was on Fizz and I show. Any hope for Ollie Gordon? Do we get 2023 Ollie Gordon or do we get 2024 Ollie Gordon? So far, so good, DB. All right, you might be the prophet. All right, because this was before the Senior Bowl weigh-ins, before the Senior Bowls. Right now, he's looking pretty good, man.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything bad. Even Theo from Player Profiler out there saying he's moving well at 233 pounds. Looks fluid, looks dynamic. So,
and this is also one of those things that I think backs have been doing. I don't know if they needed to or not, but like. Remember, they were worried about Travis Etienne in the water weight, right? Like, I mean,
you got like 220, wasn't he?
These guys, they put on a little extra weight. They're trying to bell cow it up, but I don't know. I'm not really worried about any of those narratives either, to be honest, frankly.
Side note from Ollie Gordon, all these Senior Bowl measurables came in with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of thick boys, a lot of real girthy backs.
A lot of girthy backs. Fair.
Girthy backs. I didn't know if girthy backs was going to be the phrase I was going to utter tonight, but here we are.
Yeah.
We need a song. Fizz, do you think you can make us a song called Girthy Backs?
Girthy Backs. What about let's talk a little more of you though, right? Less Ollie Gordon.
Go, man. All right, so not Senior Bowl. For whatever reason, Luke Lachey decided you want to go to the Shrine Bowl. There's a little controversy too about Jim Nagy in the Senior Bowl, kind of dunking on the Shrine Bowl and getting some blowback about it.
Right.
Speaking of girthy backs, girthy blowback. Jesus Christ. Let's go right off the fucking rip here. But he went to the Shrine Bowl, which was fine. It just kind of Shrine Bowl always kind of goes under the radar, right? Like you thought it'd be a little bit more hyped up this year with the Sanders boys there at the Shrine Bowl.
Yep.
Didn't hear a lot about it, but the one thing I did hear, because when it comes to Iowa tight ends, I'm going to go out to just say it. I'm him, all right? I'm him when it comes to letting you know who the Iowa tight ends. And this has been my man for the longest time, so I'm keeping track. Luke Lachey went out there and fucking dominated practice. Uncoverable, 6'6", 250, runs like a deer, runs routes extremely well. He can block. He can do it all. High points to football. This is all shit I've known. It's nice to see the draft cycle start to pick up on this, that Luke Lachey is going to be a fucking problem. So when Maddie and I did 4D last night, recorded it, we're talking about the tight end position, dead last, because tight ends don't matter in fantasy football for the most part. I'm still going to die on that hill. When we gave the tight ends their 5 minutes of fame compared to every other position we took forever to go through, Luke Lachey, welcome back to my tight end one. Pretty easy, and I'm going to die on this hill. So you guys can all fucking fight me. This is the man.
Tight end one. Here we are.
Back to tight end one, man.
Well,
here were the things that I threw down about Luke Lachey just quickly, Adam, on him. He suffered an ankle fracture on a hip drop tackle the year before. And if we just kind of remember, as fantasy football players, our offensive skill players who have suffered that same type of injury on that same type of tackle, they usually take about a year before they're back to normal. Tony Pollard did it. Mark Andrews did it. You saw it with Tank Dell when he fractured his ankle. This kind of thing takes a little bit of time to come back for. Apparently, shattering some bones right where your foot connects to your leg is kind of a big fucking deal. It does take a little bit of time to kind of gain back what you were in the past. And guess what, Adam? It's a little bit over a year now since Luke Lachey suffered that injury. And he's kind of back. He's back, like John Wick. I'm thinking I'm back.
I'm thinking I'm back. All right, well, Mike, there you have it. Tight end 1. And I'll just say this. People were at around this time, honestly, not really buying quite all the way into the Sam Laporta hype Mike started to spew this time of year in that class. But, hey, I'm not really here for that debate. All right, let's talk somebody else that I was not expecting to talk. And I know your affinity for this team, if you want to, helmet scout. Let's talk a little Jaylin Noel, huh?
He is the talk of the Senior Bowl. I see our man Bro down there talking
crazy,
uncoverable. I did see the day before, right? So I just want to preface this. Thor put out that there is no Lad McConkey, there is no Tank Dell. There's not somebody down there at the Senior Bowl right now just
going crazy, right?
Embarrassing DBs in one-on-ones. But Jaylin Noel,
unless it's Shiloh.
That's called getting embarrassed. All right, really good there. But I did see that Jaylin Noel is starting to build some hype. Now, my only reservation. Okay, I shouldn't say only reservation because I am. I'm about to say
only reservation from a Cyclone is just can't be true.
Okay, he is under 5'10". He's 5'9 3/4, which you might just round up. But I'm just saying, if you want to go look at the historical profiles of wide receivers who are legitimately under 5'10", we don't round up. If we actually just take them as 5'9", I'm not saying that quarter inch matters, but just looking at some of the wide receivers that have come out recently, apparently it does matter, right? Like Jalen Waddle hit 5'10", so that was good. We can cross them off the list. The only other ones I could really give you, Tank Dell, who was a later round pick, which maybe Jaylin Noel might be a second-round guy. I don't think he's a first-round guy, for fuck's sake. Please don't. But he might be a second-round guy. But Tank Dell was a later-round pick that was kind of handpicked by C.J. Stroud. But the benefit of him, like I brought up the point, he was absolutely embarrassing DBs, like when he got on the field in these all-star game practices.
Yeah.
Jaylin Noel's not embarrassing them, but he's definitely dominating them. He's got some things going for him. The only other wide receiver that people will point to that in the 5'9" bucket, like this was a hit, was Zay Flowers. But then I go back to the process play of wide receivers in Dynasty football, Adam, and if you're drafted in the first round, you matter to me and I'm interested in you. We kind of have that cutoff of top 50 picks. So it remains to be seen. Maybe Jaylin Noel
I think Eric's right. I mean, you got to know that quarter inch matters a little bit,
Yeah, I've been told it matters quite a bit. You know what I mean? I like to say that I'm, 4 1/4 inches big, if you know what I mean. That quarter inch matters. 4, but you give me that quarter, I'm like, well, you're on your way to 5.
Yep.
You're on your way to average, bro.
On his way to 5'10",
It's still early in this. The big problem I have is the Senior Bowl. We know this wide receiver class is pretty shit. So
yeah, relatively, especially to last year's, right? I mean, last year's was just fucking crazy.
We've talked about this many times before, Adam. Is he actually really that good, or is he just at 2 a.m. final call, last call at the bar, you'll do, right? Is he actually really just a 5 or a 6 that's looking pretty good because all the other options are shit?
It's winter, man. It's been ice cold for a month. Nobody's at the bar tonight, so that's kind of what it is,
We've been hibernating.
It's too early for me to call, to be completely honest. It's not 2 a.m. yet, I'll let you know closer to 2 a.m.
Hey, once upon a time, Velas Jones was nominating Senior Bowl practice, so let's just throw that one out there. Too,
well, I mean,
throw a little cold water on all the hype.
A little Roman Wilson last year, right? He basically didn't see the kid all year this year, so there's that too. But
sorry, Eric, those aren't. We're not talking about hand size because those are mitts. You know what I mean?
Let's talk another Jaylin. About Jalen Milroe. What are you hearing so far?
Not real good things.
Yeah. He's made a couple solid throws, but honestly, I've heard more on the negative than on the positive, to be quite frank, right?
Yeah, I read a tweet that said it's a lot of what you saw at Alabama, right? The athleticism shows up. The moments of competent throws show up. But for the most part, it's inconsistency, it's inaccuracy, it's bad ball placement. It's just not really looking comfortable playing the quarterback position, which sucks at him because to really save this class, like we needed somebody like Jalen Milroe to like ball out at this kind of Senior Bowl thing and be that riser and like, hey, Milroe might go in the first round. Like that's what we needed, and we're not really getting it. Like we needed that dynamic athlete at the quarterback position to really kind of raise up the level of the rest of the class. And so far, it's not looking great, which sucks. It really does. I was rooting for him. Maybe by the combine, he's got it figured out. Like, there's still hope. There's still hope. Like, maybe he goes out and he puts on a show at the combine. Like, we've seen this happen before, too. So,
Sure.
You know, once upon a time at this point in the draft cycle, nobody really believed in Anthony Richardson. Right now, we didn't get a Senior Bowl performance, but then showed up at the combine and it was like, holy shit. This dude's going to top 5 pick. So it can happen. It can still happen, but so far it's kind of sad trombone-y.
Yeah, I think he's just going to be one of these players that I'm paying a lot of attention to as we're getting closer and closer to the draft. And for the drafts we do, Mike, and Dynasty, where we're drafting before the NFL draft, it's going to really come down to, am I seeing a lot of this guy in the first round or two in mocks? If that's the case, like this is the type of profile, because he's so athletic, I am just shooting my shot. I don't care. Like it's okay if I miss, honestly, probably where he's going to go. If he's not looking like he's going to go in round 1 or round 2, I'm probably going to tap out early as far as, before the NFL draft. Now, if I'm drafting after the NFL draft, we'll know. But that's really what's going to come. That's really what's going to come down to for me. Is he drafted in the first 2 rounds? If he's not, I'm not going to care.
So the real lazy comp is going to be the other Jaylin who went to Alabama once upon a time, right? Rocking his jersey, man. Super Bowl, second Super Bowl for him.
There you
Stopped
go.
out in the man. But I this shouldn't be hot takey. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with me, but maybe it's fucking YouTube. So you guys like to argue with me about best flavor of water sometimes, it feels. But I would say Jalen Hurts was a much more established passer at this point in the draft cycle than Jalen Milroe. So it's making it like real hard to kind of wrap my mind around, like, God, I hope he gets second round draft capital. If he goes in the 3rd or 4th round, I don't give a shit. I really don't. Like historically, the hits of those quarterbacks is abysmal. It's terrible. Kellen Mond was athletic. He just sucked at quarterback.
Harry Snowman knows what's up. Appreciate the honesty, Harry. It's okay. This is a safe place, believe it or not. So you're good here.
Safe place. Safe
Mike,
space.
let me just ask you then real quickly. Jackson Dart. Hearing anything there?
It hasn't been like this real solid drumbeat of like he's fucking amazing and you guys need to pay attention. But I haven't really heard anything on the negative side, which can be a good thing, right? Like if people aren't out there just dogging him because how terrible he looks, that's actually kind of a positive. Now, unfortunately, with a lot of these like quarterbacks, I'm hearing like this thing about this Canadian kid. Like maybe we got the next Tyson Bagent on our hands, like unheralded out of fucking nowhere.
Right. Yep.
DB's getting fucking excited because he's like Canadian quarterback.
Oh my God, is it real?
Sign me up. Right. And then you got the bullshit reports out there about Dylan Gabriel throwing like 99 miles an hour or whatever bullshit that was. That's cap. That's big cap. That's like one of those big ones that you see sometimes at sporting events. That was horseshit. But all's been kind of quiet on the Jackson Dart front. So I guess if you're a real big truther fan, you probably wanted more. If you're a hater, you don't got much to hate on. So we just kind of let it play out.
I feel like this might be one of those things though where the position is lacking. So it sounds more positive than others, if that makes sense, right? Almost the same conversation as, earlier when we're talking with Noel. Like it could just be that this is the most positive of the position at the moment. So you're like, okay, all right. It could be.
I did just see something that Louis Riddick said he's very impressed by Jackson Dart at the Senior Bowl. So if you want to take that little nugget away.
There you go.
I just haven't heard any of like my go-tos. And by my go-tos, I mean Thor and Debro. Those are my
Sure.
boys. Ride with them forever.
and
I haven't heard really anything from them on that front.
let's call it what it is.
Maybe the algorithm ain't showing me the shit. I don't know.
And let's call it what it is too. We'll know a lot more. The Senior Bowl actually takes place Saturday, right? We'll know a lot more by this time next week, as far as if they've actually raised their stock enough to know if we're gonna all right, are we talking bumping them into rounds where we weren't thinking of before, right? So yeah. And Eric puts Milrose. I'm thinking Malik Willis. It'll be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see. Okay, let's pivot then. We next week we'll see what we have for the Senior Bowl and what we have for all these players in their stock up and stock down. Let's talk our last bit of stock up and stock down for the only game left in the NFL for this season. It's the 2024 season, the 2025 Super Bowl. Mike, I mean, listen, here's what I'll say. All right, I don't want to tell you I told you so because this is not. It's not really becoming. They tell me, but we told you so. We told you so. Saquon Barkley, I think you and I personally, I know, had a disagreement on this. And I'm of the mindset of, like, if you're Saquon Barkley and you had the title to go for as far as the rushing title, right? Of course he wants to go for it. I don't think there's any person that doesn't think that he would like to get the rushing title. Let's just be fucking men about this, honest about this. But the whole idea when he signed in Philly was, you know what? Like, I actually matter when it comes to football winning games. I'm that dude. I'm the dude that was drafted so highly that people thought that you could win with this position. And sometimes I was here to tell you that no matter what happened in New York, this motherfucker can run by everybody. Again. And again. And again. He's 3 times he's run for 60-plus yards in the last 2 games. When football is at its highest stakes. Say what you want, man. I don't know if the entire running back position is back completely. One thing I did see this year, the running back 2, so running back 13 to 24, that's as high as we've ever seen that position score in the last 10 years. So wow, that's an interesting point. But at the top, it's not been as dominant as it once was, in the bell cow days, if you will. All that to say, Saquon Barkley is making the running back position back in a huge way, and he's just different than the rest. So I'm going to be very interested to see what happens in this game. I think that Philly has a really good chance to get the Chiefs, but what are your thoughts on Saquon? And we'll get into some of the other players on the Eagles and Chiefs side.
As long as we got 26 on the field, we got better than just a chance to win. Like, this guy is something fucking else, man. I just love it how it started from fucking jump in the championship game. Like, I was getting kind of worried there, right? Like, J-Day was doing J-Day things, keeping that offense on the field. They got the ball. They converted, I don't know, felt like 50 fourth downs. It's like a long-ass drive. They just keep moving it down. They score points, and you're like, shit. Like, we might be in for a problem here. First time Eagles get the ball, Saquon Barkley, 60-plus.
The crazy one, that one was a lot of times these 60-plus runs, like just no one can get the angle and he's gone, right? This time, like, the angles to be had, a couple guys had their chances.
They had their chance.
Well past, like, the second level to get their hands on Saquon, and it didn't fucking matter. Man, and then seeing, honestly, I know it was way late, but seeing Will Shipley get a nice little bit of run at the end of the game, just to let you guys know that
Will
Phillies
Shipley had himself a game, not only towards the end, but he had that big kickoff return.
Sure did.
To set up the initial touchdown, and you're like, oh, look at
But
Will.
you know what's crazy is, like, that was like the first time that you get to see, like, Will actually taking, like, carries and snaps back there, and you're like, all right, he looks solid. Maybe it's just the Commanders' D is that trash. They are, but hey, listen, we're gonna let Will the Thrill be Will the Thrill for a minute. Let me ask you, Dallas Goedert and the rest of the pass catchers we're gonna get to as well. What are your thoughts on these guys here, man?
So up until this last game of the playoffs, a lot of the question marks were around, can A.J. Brown actually do anything? Is Jalen Hurts even good? Is he just a game manager? He looks slow.
We're going to get to your number one. Don't you worry, man. We will
he
get
looks
to
bad, right? So it brings everybody else down. Dallas Goedert was his only outlet valve, but Dallas Goedert's really stepping up here in the playoffs, regardless of how Jalen Hurts is playing. Everybody kind of had a pretty good game, except for Smitty. He just had some moments this last game, but A.J. Brown had a real nice game. Dallas Goedert had a real nice game. He's just been really solid. You like to see it. Now, here's the problem, and we're going to do this in Dynasty. If he continues and he has another really good game in the Super Bowl, people are going to think this is a fucking trend, and all of a sudden Dallas Goedert would be like tight end 5 on Keep Trade Cut, and you go like, God damn it! Stop.
Remember when he was like forgotten? He was like tight end 17.
Yes.
Oh, that'll change. It's always fun.
Nope, he's a solid, really good tight end, and
Sure.
he's showing out and he's delivering when we need him. So I really appreciate him, man. He's like, we don't miss Zach Ertz. Zach who? We don't give a shit. Dallas Goedert. It's the only Dallas that you're going to see in the Super Bowl for a very long time. So appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody, keep the questions coming. We will have questions coming after we get through a couple more segments here. So just want to let y'all know that. I think, Mike, everyone probably wants to talk about not just Dallas Goedert, but, let's talk about A.J. Brown for a second, man.
Hey, reading books, man. Books are paying off for him. He's in a place of zen. He's like Philly's Phil Jackson at this point. We love him.
Barney's and Noble, He's
The only time you see him get excited is when that bitch-ass Marshawn Lattimore tries to start something.
Ooh.
Even though A.J. Brown's the one who started it. Like, I could keep that real.
Yeah,
He ripped that man's helmet off and then was like, I didn't do shit.
The crazy part to me about that game is like, A.J. Brown and Smitty and the pass catchers all look better, and it was a game where they got a lot of passing offense involved, but they also broke because they scored 55 points. That's the most rushing touchdowns we've seen in a playoff game since the 40s. So you had both of the negatives. Seven. And we'll go ahead and put Smitty in that same spotlight, man. The Eagles, say what you want. Now, we'll get to the Chiefs side of it, right? Say what you want, but the Eagles right now, at least going into this game, I know it's the Commanders' defense, and people are saying the Commanders shouldn't have been there, all that. Well, they were there, and it is what it is. This is a team that it's a load, man. They got a fucking great offensive line, right? Even without Kelsey in there. They have pass catchers. They have a unbelievable running back, and now they have 2 weeks to let Jalen Hurts also get some rest and recovery. So this will be a fun one. Mike, let me go ahead and just get to it, all right? We got it down here. I see Cheat Pete, all right? Cheat Pete. People, let's put Patrick Mahomes up, all right? Let's just do it. Go ahead and put Patrick Mahomes up, all right? What's your thoughts on this first? Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, because I want your honest opinion.
Yeah.
In your opinion, just watching football, I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm not a Bills fan. I don't really care either way. I just wanted a good game, and we got one. We got a good game.
Sure.
Did you really think like the refs were the reason that the Chiefs beat the Bills?
I was about to get on a soapbox, but that's why I wanted to let you start just to make sure.
I didn't either.
No, well, I think
there was a couple questionable things at fourth down. You had the broadcast crew saying that he got it. I saw a billion angles of it, and if they actually did rule it short, like if that was the official call on the field, I didn't see enough to overturn it. Like it is what it is. I would have rather seen them just like, fuck it. You can have it. Right? You can have it. It was close enough. Like kind of like horseshoes. You got close enough. Go ahead. You can have it. It's fourth down. You got it. Move the sticks, and Buffalo continues to play. But they had moments. That little swing route out to Khalil Shakir, which was the hot topic because Solak is breaking it down, saying he should have thrown it. And then you got all the former NFL players criticizing the shit out of him for, being a couch coach and all this shit and whatever the fuck it was. The Bills had moments to win that game. That you got to pass, that fourth down pass too, that same one just goes right through Dalton Kincaid's fucking arms. It's like, well, if we would have caught that, it would have been something. There's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas for the Bills. I would say this. It was a good game. It was entertaining. I didn't think the refs played a real big part in any of it. There was calls in almost every playoff game for, it didn't matter if it was the Chiefs or the Eagles. The Eagles got some fucking homerism calls. I can admit that as an Eagles fan. Didn't stop them from scoring fucking 55 points. Didn't affect the outcome of the game. Kind of the same thing in the Chiefs-Bills, man. I'm not really going to buy into this that the refs are helping them out, right? It seems like that because we fucking hate them, like because we're just tired of them winning.
No, I think to your point here, like this game, all right. I know the narrative is strong, and there's been some games prior where you could put some very questionable stuff out there, right? I get it, but you look at this game, it's that one there. It's also kind of just unlucky, right? Like Chris Jones just happened to be standing right there at the fucking the angle that you needed. If he's not there, like maybe they have a better look. But it is what it is, and that's also one play in the game. And I think the reality is this: if you want to beat the Chiefs, especially Mahomes, like remember this is a team that basically comes from behind and finds a way to win games. Patrick Mahomes, Mike, one of the stats is crazy. Inside of a minute, so a minute or less left in the game, right? And you need to score up to a touchdown, so a touchdown or less to either win or tie the game. Patrick Mahomes, when in the NFL history, the times in which they either tie or win the game in that drive is under 40%. Mahomes is 7 of 7. Mahomes is 7 of 7. So the crazy, you didn't even make sure Mahomes had to come back and win the game or tie the game with the game on the line like he had to do when they played the Bills last time, right? They're winning. They have the ball up 3. Like it's kind of like, I get it. You're tired of it. You don't want to see him continue to win. I get all that, man. But they deserve to win this game. Now, what I'll say and what I want to get to here is the other thing that's really crazy about this, and the AFC was loaded this year. Say what you want. Man, you look at it. I mean, Travis Kelce is just not Travis Kelce of old. I'm sorry. He's just, at this moment, good player. I think he's still a player where Mahomes looks to him. But he's not the Travis Kelce of old. I don't know if it's Taylor's fault. It may well be. But
he's also just old, man.
He's getting there. Like you see this guy. I got this picture because it's like, Mike, he kind of looks old and tired in this pic, right? He's looking like, damn, like, one more game.
Man's got that dad bod right now. He's kind of rocking.
Well, I mean, that part you can definitely account to. The podcast blowing up, Taylor Swift. Like things have changed, right? Things have changed for my man.
Yeah, he's getting domesticated.
Let's keep going. Let's talk about the entire cast of characters he has, right? Now he's got Hollywood Brown as one of his top pass catchers this last game.
Welcome back.
Right?
Yep.
Hollywood Brown is back.
Still on a roll.
But, like, I mean, he has no chemistry, no rapport with this guy. This is a cast-off, realistically, right? Like, this is why we're here.
Always kind of been a little bit overrated.
Yep.
No one likes to hear that, but yes, he's always been a little bit overrated.
Nuke Hopkins, no matter what you say about him at this point in his career, is just not that guy anymore. Right? He's more nuked than he is Nuke Hopkins. So
why don't they move him in and have him play tight end?
I mean, they kind of do when they run him.
He might be able to get separation then.
It was kind of funny hearing him talk post-game. I think people misconstrued some of his words. Like he said, I got traded for pennies in my prime. He's not talking about right now. He's not telling you he's in his prime. He's talking about when he got traded from Houston. But he's like, I can still draw double coverage. That's not happening anymore, guys. Sorry.
No. I mean, you draw double coverage in like a pro-am game,
Yeah, just not for the Chiefs. Now, one guy, I want everybody who's starting to get more acclimated as the one at the time being in this Chiefs offense. I want everybody to start looking. If Xavier Worthy had everybody looking at him like more like this picture and like Mike does, right? Like he's just that dude dressed up.
What's up?
You'd be doing good in life, Xavier Worthy, this is his top weapon, and it's still. While I think he's looked a lot better with him, the best way to utilize him because of his speed is to make sure you manufacture touches for him and just get the ball into his hands, not necessarily as the prototypical type. Now, whether that matters or not, I don't think it does because you just get crossing route, get him the ball, get him out wide, give him a handoff. The guy is fast as shit. So there's that. But he's still, I think, at this point, like, I'm not going to say he can't continue to develop and get better, but it's not the ones that he's had even in his previous years, right? And let's call it what it is. Kareem Hunt, man. Like, this is the OG.
Solid.
This is the OG, right?
Solid.
But the whole point of that exercise is to talk about no one's talking about this is the cast of characters he's got again into the dance. Like,
yep.
These are the guys he's brought. These are the girls he brought to the dance this year, Mike. Like,
outside of Xavier Worthy, it's a bunch of mids.
I'm not trying to be, jock riding and dick riding the guy. But listen, man, this is whether they win or not, this is another impressive run for him. Period.
Kermit knows what's up, man. Good ball player. Good ball player.
He can be annoying. You can hate him as much as you want, but you got to start putting some respect on him as opposed to not just the refs, right?
Just a little zesty, which adds to the hate. Adds to the hate.
But anyway,
what is this finger thing? Like, I wish I had fingers like that.
Nah,
get in the huddle.
I'm not doing the finger thing. Mike loves doing the finger thing. Sometimes he has
to go to my wife tonight. Like, let's.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mike has to when he hasn't kept up. It's time to keep up with the finger thing, you know. But hey, listen, if you have questions,
just working them out, you know.
You guys let us know down in the comments what you think of the Super Bowl, everyone in the game, stock up and down for those players, as well as the little bit of Senior Bowl information, Shrine Bowl information we have now. We're about to open it up for questions, and some things change, some things never do. Mike, you know what we got to do, buddy. You know exactly what we got to do. Let's hit it.
Let's do it.
Welcome to South Harmon. Welcome to South Harmon. Hey, welcome to South Harmon. We glad you here today. Another AMA. Ask me anything. Super chat is cool if you wanna pay to play. Like and subscribe, that's what we really appreciate. Let me introduce you to the tear down king. Mike McNutted, ask your questions, he'll answer anything. ATM, you know Adam put them graphics on the screen. Glad you tapped in now, stay tapped in for the team. Hey, everything is posted. Go follow the socials. South Harmon FF tag us if we get noticed. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Another AMA. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today.
Yo, I am really vibing with this little format. I like that little break that we get in there. We come in hard hitting. We got the segments. We're going through them. We get some information real fast. You get the shittiest part of the show for you people out of the fucking way. Mike and Adam stop talking, and then boom, Fizz kicks it off, and now we get right into the fucking questions. Now we get into the fun part, the
meat and the potatoes, you know?
The meat and the taters.
All right, Rob, I know you're here with us. I know you're asking questions. We got it for you. Okay, what is his price?
He gets angry if you don't get to him quickly, too. Gronk smash.
I kind of feel like it's similar to, you just start. Gronk, similar to, we've been criticized for mispronouncing people's names. He loves mispronouncing names. I love that about Gronk.
All of them.
Anyway, what is Brower's price? This question to start off AMA is about as convoluted in my personal estimation because of format and because of chaos. But Mike, what do you think Brock Bowers' current cost is in Dynasty? Let's just call it a standard tight end premium league, right? Because most formats I think are going to be like lineup start 9 or start 10 with a half point tight end premium realistically, right?
We start with what I'm selling them for or what I'm buying them for.
Neither. Let's go with what's his price. What is the Dynasty market on him, and then let's talk about what we would do, whether it's buy or sell. Where would we be at, right?
You've brought up keep trade cut many times.
Sure.
And he's extremely high on that one. Extremely high.
Shocking.
And cool thing is, we got ADP now. We got startups happening.
Sure do.
We got real data. Brock Bowers in Superflex leagues right now is going off the board at the 108. Adam, the 108. So this is one of the rare times where ADP and keep trade cut is matching up pretty solidly.
Almost simultaneously even. They're 109 on KTC. Now, the crazy part with KTC, if you take the premium off, he's at the fucking 109, dude. Like you just put the 1, so just the plus, which I don't want to go down the whole rabbit hole, but we got to at least do it, right? Tight end plus 1, so it's tight end plus and tight end premium on keep trade cut. That means you're starting one tight end, a mild to moderate scoring boost for tight ends, which that is a plus 0.5 PPR, right? Or 7.5 PPR. What I'm basically telling you is just by doing that, he all of a sudden becomes 106 on KTC. So ADP, KTC, anywhere from the 109 to the 106 right now based on, what they say with people pressing buttons or people drafting. Mike, when you bring that into the fold, okay, now what's his price, right? That's his startup price. That's what people say in keep trade cut. What does that actually mean that he costs to acquire? What does that mean that his price is?
I mean, people are looking at it right now just based off of ADP, Adam, and kind of telling you that whoever your tight end 2 or tight end 3 is, whether that's Laporta or Trey McBride or I hope there's nobody out there still doing the Kyle Pitts thing. No, thank God we're not. There's a big fall off at tight end.
I mean, listen,
after
I'm
Laporte.
drinking Blanton's because we're talking expensive fucking shit here.
Expensive. But tight end 2 is on ADP wise is Trey McBride, and he goes in the mid second. And Sam Laporta goes at the back end of the third, and that's your tight end 3 right now in startups.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying that it cost at least, just based on how ADP is playing out, Adam, at least a first on top of one of those guys to get to Brock Bowers.
Say that again. Say that again for people.
At least a first to move
Plus
a Sam Laporta or Trey McBride. Tight end 2 or 3. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a
now,
lot.
In the price range, let's say if we were to kind of, what we love to do, I think people love to do in general, right? We think about the conversion of the asset. So if we talked about it in future picks, right? He's in 3 first territory range, honest to God, man. I'm not saying that it's going to be exactly that, but he's 2 first and plus, frankly, at this point.
Which, I want to talk about what I'd sell him for. If I had Brock Bowers and somebody asked what his price is, that's where I start. Give me 3 firsts. Give me 3 liquid firsts. Now, am I going to get that? Maybe.
If you get 3 firsts, let me to put it on record too for me as well. If you get 3 liquid firsts for Bowers, is he gone in any format?
No question. I don't give a shit if it's a 2.75 tight end premium. Start 2 tight end league. See you out the door.
And now, to be clear as well, let's say, is that just future picks? So 26 first, 27 first, or is that including would you take the 110, 111, 112 in the 25 class for him as well?
I'd take those 3.
Okay, I'm not saying that you wouldn't. I would just wanted the clarification for everybody listening. Is it?
I wouldn't. I don't like this class.
I really don't like it, but
I don't know how many time again we have to be right on this subject. I don't give a shit if it was Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, and they've been good. They've been elite for years, Adam. Anywhere I sold one of those guys for 3 liquid firsts, I don't give a shit what the class looked like or how badly I may have missed on one of those picks and oh yeah, Mike, you probably took this guy and he was fucking nothing. Somebody else that I took in that class, else that I took in that class, plus that other third or that third first I have, even if it wasn't a hit, I got real fucking close to that value, if not exceeded. That's not even accounting the fact what if you hit, what are those picks? I did this experiment. God, I got to go back. I should do an episode on this one. So once upon a time, I took a lot of heat for a Jamar Chase trade in Best Ball League. A lot of heat. But I got 3 firsts worth of value. Now, it was spread out over multiple classes, Adam. But I went back and I looked in season just because I was curious. Went way back. Shout out to Sleeper for that feature, being able to go back and look what those picks became, who, what they were, who you took in the draft, what you did with them. Those 3 picks, I didn't move them. I didn't end up moving them in other deals. Didn't convolute the deal at all. But it was spread out over multiple years. You know what one of those picks that I traded Jamar Chase for became?
No.
Just one.
What's that?
Malik Neighbors.
Well.
Now we're sitting here and we're having the conversation of Neighbors. Is he in the same fucking tier as Jamar Chase? How closely are they in value? Could he be the wide receiver 1? That's not even adding in the fact that I got 2 other goddamn firsts in different classes. I don't even remember what the fuck they came, but it doesn't matter at that point, does it? Does it? If you hit one that's even close to what Brock Bowers becomes, you're in the money.
Well,
3 firsts for a position player is almost always going to be an automatic. You take the position player, I'll take the picks.
I do think that it depends on context does matter as well, right? Now, Mike and I play in a lot of best ball leagues. Straight up, Mike, you tell me it could be 110, 111, 112, almost in any class. Meaning, if you told me in best ball, you're going to give me your 25, 112, and that's that team, right? So that team's also going to include the 26 and 27 first of their own, right? So you could almost pencil in. Now, this is not how this actually works, but if you were to pencil in, that's a really good team, you think it's going to be late picks for the next 3 years, in best ball, I'm still doing that. You don't have to like that, but I'm doing that, right? In a lineup start 9, we're talking a heavy tight end premium. I'm not saying that you couldn't still move him for those 3 firsts and still end up winning in that scenario, meaning, like Mike says, you drafted a good player that becomes close to the cost. But I'd also be a little more choosy there just because I can, right? I don't have to take 3 late first in that format. So I think context there when we talk about the price overall, right?
Mm-hmm.
The price in a format like, lineup start 9, where the tight end premium is, let's call it 2 or higher. Okay, that context changes what his price is going to be. I think in the large majority of formats, even in lineup leagues, you give me 3 first for this player. It's tough because you could argue on one hand, right, where Brock Bowers has been so good, and the difference with a lot of arguments with him and Laporta. Laporta had a high touchdown mark, which really propelled his stats last year. This is a guy that touchdowns are just probably more likely to come than anything because he got it all 3 yards. And I get all that, and I get the narratives, and I'll even tell you, let's say that Brock Bowers was to become him. Cool. But how good is he going to have to be at the tight end position to be the difference maker I think that everyone's paying for right now? To me, I'm willing to bet on the opposite because I don't know that he's going to give me that much of a difference relative to the other tight ends that I can grab at a much, much cheaper cost. That's what it ultimately comes down to. But what his price is, I mean, it's somewhere between 2 and 3 first. It's a huge tear down to any of the tight ends, even if they're high-end ones. It's a quarterback cost, frankly. He's a guy that's worth as much as a quarterback in Superflex leagues. So
Yeah.
It's a high one. Let's go ahead and let's talk about this. We had some good ones here. Maddie says, 25 Senior Bowl wide receiver. Who's going to be the tallest kid from the Lollipop Kids? And we got to go back to Rob, all right? What class is going to be better? This is always a troublesome projection this far out even, right? But 26 or 27, Mike, if you had to take one class or the other, including all the things, right? So there's narratives, there's players, there's also time involved in this one. So where are you at?
Give me 27.
Including the time factor?
Including the time factor. 26 is, in my estimation right now, right, just trying to look forward, is going to be a solid class, right? Solid class. There's some names. You got some quarterbacks that are very, very interesting.
Right.
It's not like how I perceived this class coming into, at this time last year. I was looking ahead and going like, Carson Beck QB1? Like that's not a good starting point.
Real quick though, I just want to put this. Someone says that 103 was Brock Bowers in one of their drafts. So just understand.
One QB league.
This is a startup. I don't even care. Like, by the way, MJ Duckich, please let us know if it's Superflex or not. But let's please have the context. Regardless, Mike, if that's one quarterback or not, it doesn't matter to me. You tell me there's 2 skill players. I don't care if it's Superflex or not. 103 is ridiculous, but I'd love to hear it.
I could see a world in one QB where that makes somewhat of sense for whoever was making the pick.
The one difference there is too
fucking malpractice in a Superflex league.
Well, with Superflex and not, right? The one thing I will admit is it's still not what I would do. I don't play in one quarterback, so I'll give you that straight out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to bet on the positional advantage, if you're telling me the quarterback's not one of the positions, right? There's only 3 positions now that are of the premium type where you get an elite quarterback or you don't one quarterback, right? Let's say that's the way you play and what you should. Okay, now I might try to get that positional advantage because it's dependent on the format. So it could change a little bit there. Let us know that. But getting back to the 26 or 27 class, I just wanted to throw that in there because that's crazy.
So 26 has got some quarterbacks, right? Arch is going to headline it. Nico Umalava has got a lot of skill, a lot of talent. Lenore Sellers is one that's very interesting to me. Highly mobile, big kid. And then you might have a couple other, Drew Alar got a little bit of NFL draft buzz. Obviously, the last game that you saw him wasn't the fucking greatest. Might have heard it. Garrett Nussmeier has been in that conversation.
Sure.
Connor Wegman was up there in that conversation. Sam Leavitt had a hell of a year. So, I mean, you got some quarterbacks that are interesting, and I would venture to say Arch, Nico, and Lenore Sellers, if they were coming out this year, like if they were eligible for this year,
they changed the dynamic of the class, yeah.
They would be QB 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
No question for me in this class.
Yeah.
I would put them over Cam.
They changed the whole dynamic of the class,
Right. Now, they're not as elite as maybe some of the 24 quarterbacks that we saw come out, but we still got time, right? That's why they're still doing another year in college. They ain't eligible yet. Running back class, little bit bigger of a question mark, right? Like we're kind of
sure.
waiting to be. It's to be seen, like who's going to stand out from that. But we might have one or two wide receivers. On the other hand, I might be on an island here. The wide receiver class is much better for me in 2026 than it is this year. Like there's some names that I'm pretty excited about. Now,
this year's class for receiver too, though, at 25 is pretty rough, right?
I say all that to say there's not a single prospect. You know, Arch kind of has some of that pizzazz, that hype within the community, but it's not ridiculous. It's not like Caleb Williams when he was a freshman and a sophomore, that kind of build up. It's not that, but he's got some pizzazz. I will say this is why I prefer 2027, because 2027 true fucking freshmen, 18-year-olds. I watched 2 of these dudes stand on the field with grown-ass men and dominate the shit out of them in the biggest moments of the year and make highlight play after highlight play after highlight play. You just watched one do it in the national championship game, which couldn't be a bigger fucking stage.
Well,
and you got to remind yourself, Jeremiah Smith is 18 fucking years old.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, they have very bland names, right? We got Smith and Williams, but they're not just any old players, right? These are complete game changers. I mean, Mike, I'll tell you this right now. Jeremiah Smith is, to get on the field with all the other receivers, now let's call it what it is. The receivers this year were still special. Like, Mecca Ibuka is no joke. They got some special ones, but it's not quite as great as it's been in the last few. But to get on the field in general with as a freshman there is tough. But to do what he's done and to show it, this is a guy that's got, like, I'll say that he's got like the Julio Jones range of outcomes, frankly, there. But the crazy part is if you were to take him off of it, if you were to take Jeremiah Smith away, like Ryan Williams still has every bit of the him. Maybe not to Jeremiah Smith's level, but he's a class-changing type of a prospect. So I think that's one of the things about it, right? You got a while to wait. But those 2 names, if you tell me you have a chance to get early picks in 27, those are going to have a different type of cash value, period. You know?
The thing, right, so Jeremiah Smith drew a lot of comps before he even played it down of college football to Julio Jones.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, body type, pause, but body type is crazy, you know? Same thing.
Body type, size, speed. But you got to remember, this is like they're comping him to Julio Jones' NFL version. You know?
Right. No, we're talking prime, you know, take the top off, do it all, right?
Listen, I don't even know if the Julio Jones comp did him a service, right? Like, I think it was a disservice. Like, I think he might have even exceeded it. Julio
Jones as a prospect was almost flawless, though, right? Like,
it was true. It was true. But Jeremiah Smith lived up to it, at the very least, right?
No question. And probably exceeded, frankly.
Ryan Williams, to me, like my little comp I have for him, right? If you want to stay with the Alabama receivers, he's Devontae Smith without the late breakout, right? Like, he's Devontae Smith. If Devontae Smith would have been doing...
Heisman Smith at a sophomore, at 18. You know? Yeah.
Heisman Smith at 18. Yeah. That's Ryan Williams. It's fucking nuts. It's nuts, these two. So when you ask me between the two, I know time's a factor. 26 is going to be a good class. 27 could be a great class because you have these 2 dudes in it. And I don't even know what the fuck else is coming out in 27, right? Because a lot of freshmen don't come out and break out right away. Like, they have moments and you're like, oh, I kind of liked him in the 2 games that I got to see him play. You got to watch Ryan Williams and I did it again. Devontae Smith, Ryan Williams. You got to watch Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith go out there and just flat out fucking dominate from jump at 18-year-olds. It's absolutely fucking insane. Yeah. Those, if you play in any C2C leagues, Superflex or not, wild, you know, start 4 quarterbacks, that fucking crazy one that Fizz and I co-manage, the one DB's in. Mm-hmm. Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith, if you do a startup C2C right now, are the 1 and 2 pick. No fucking questions asked.
Yep.
Immediately.
Yep.
And they're wide receivers.
Yeah. I'll say this, right? Like, if you, all the points you just made for the 27 thing, I mean, they reign true. There's just there would not even be a point in trying to make a counter. Because if you tell me right now, all things equal, just the players, you would take, if you could tell me that Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams become pros at the same time that everyone in the 26 class do, like, there's not even Like, we're not even having a debate here. Like, if you told me they're all coming out the same year, the one thing I will say, right, one of the reasons why I'll have a hard time going away from the 26 class in general, right, I'm not telling you that those two prospects won't hit. I'm not telling you they won't be generational, because I think at least Jeremiah Smith is generational, frankly. Here's the one thing I want to give context to, right? I'm going to go through to give you, without even, one of my favorite things to do is to give you context without hyping up a bunch of players. But I'm going to hype up a bunch of players. It's not in the 26 class. How about the 24 class? Mike, I want to give you a reminder of what picks that become players in their first year can look like.
Mm-hmm.
You ready for Keep Trade Cut? You ready for some Keep Trade Cut, my friend?
Yes.
All right. Asset number 2 in the entire fucking Keep Trade Cut database, Superflex, Jaden Daniels. If you had 27 as opposed to 26 in this theoretic, right? This is theoretical, right? But this theoretic exercise, you got a great one. Like, Jeremiah Smith will be projected very highly, but he's going to come in behind Jaden Daniels. He's also very likely still to come in behind Malik Neighbors, right? Like,
that's fair.
Brock Bowers, again. Like, my point, I guess, is when we talk 26, those are all top 6 to 9 assets, depending on tight end premium or not. Player 14, Brian Thomas Jr., right? Player 19, Drake May, who's a fucking Pro Bowler, although he didn't even play for how many games? I mean, I know people are going to hate that, but I don't make the rules. He's in the Pro Bowl, okay?
I don't make the rules.
Caleb Williams, after a fucking down year, Mike, asset 22, right? Like, Bo Nix, hate him or not, and we talk about the quarterbacks that are in the 26 class that are going to be starters in Superflex. Bo Nix. Ladd McConkey, asset 26, asset 27, Marv. I can keep going. My point is, we're talking about, these are all top 30 assets because they played right now, because people get hyped up, because people are excited. I'm telling you right now, when you're looking at first-round picks, you're looking at a second-round pick in the 24 class is currently asset 42 right now. Michael Penix, he didn't even look that great, frankly, from the fantasy perspective.
Yeah.
Passing on a year for the next year is a dangerous game, especially when you look at the 23 class, which is one we did it for, and how'd that fucking work. I'm not saying there aren't players that are great in 23, but, man, by and large, we got kind of fucked by that 23 thing, huh? Like,
You did.
The point I guess I'm making here is there are so many things that take place, even good or bad. Rome Odunze is still a top 50 asset. Wearing his jersey, underwhelming, right? Like, seeing them play gives you so many opportunities for those players to go into stratospheres that even early picks in the 27 class, the next year's class, can't give you. So for me, the way I play, the way I think about things, if I'm going to line up start 9, and I'm kind of in a situation where I know we're about the jewels. If I need to crown jewels in this market, Mike, I'm taking the 27 picks. But in almost any other format, we're talking lineup start 11, any best ball, I'm taking 26, especially if there's a discount for the year out, because if you think about the way that the time works, I'm going to bet on all these players, because if I hit the Brian Thomas Jr., if I hit the Ladd McConkey, if I fucking hit the Michael Penix, the Bo Nix, buddy, that's going to be worth almost the early gem that you have and you waited on for a year, right? So I think that's one of the things to think about with the timing and the way that players and picks work ultimately.
You're right. Here's the best news for anybody listening to this, right? Most people in your dynasty leagues aren't going to give a shit about their 27 picks, so you can have both, right? You can go get those 26 picks in your trade backs or whatever you want to do. You want to punt this fucking class to the moon because it's terrible or whatever. You don't give a shit. Punt it. Who gives a fuck? Get your 26 picks and then go out and just, start adding on some of them 27s that nobody gives a fuck about, right? Have your cake and eat it too. And you can start loading up on 27 and get your shot at Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams or whoever the fuck. Adam, I did look. Keep Trade Cut does have Devy rankings. And there's a few other
Jeremiah
guys.
Smith is 1 probably, I'd bet, if I had to say.
Yes. Yeah. Above Ashton.
What's Ryan Williams? 4, 5, 3?
5.
And this is including 25, not just 26, right?
This is including 25 and 26.
Sheesh.
Yep. So Ryan Williams is 5. There's a few other guys right out there. DJ Lagway, who's like a rich clone, but at 18.
We got to see some moments from him. He's up there. He's in the top 20, at 20 exactly. Dylan Raiola, the quarterback of Nebraska. Fuck Nebraska forever. But, the Patrick Mahomes cosplay. That's what I'm going to call him forever.
I like that. I love that.
Cam Coleman, a big body receiver playing in the SEC at Auburn.
For sure.
If he can get a quarterback, if they can actually get that offense up. Cam Coleman's an interesting one. So there's some other dudes in here in this 27 class. It's not just Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams.
No, it's not. But those are the reason that 27 gets
those are the headlines.
hype, for sure.
The headlines. You're sitting here right now in, end of January of 2025 in your Dynasty leagues. You can get 27 picks from most of these fucking fish out there that just have no clue, right? You don't know how many people I play Dynasty fantasy football with that have no fucking clue what's going on in college football. It's a ton. It is a metric ton. There are people who sub and come to this show, right? Like every single week. We got diehards in our community, boys that we're with. And you don't know how many times I've heard him say, like, yeah, I didn't watch any college football. I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. Right? Like, he's about to come out in this fucking draft class, and they don't even know who he is, right? Think about that in your more casual leagues. You can take advantage of these fucking turds.
No, I'm with you. I mean, and that's one of the points about 27 as well to me, Mike, is where now the point you just made, and you talked about this, I'm not telling you that it's only Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. We have a lot of time to figure out some of the names in 27 and how their production will change and what their draft capital and stock will be, right? But one of the things about the 27 class is why it's so valuable is because it's those two guys, right? You also, to me, part of the real strategy there is like I need to know that I'm picking against multiple teams in 27 that are iffy, right? Like I'm looking at a team right now that's going to be trying to win in 25, and I'm thinking, okay, by 27, maybe they can be looking like they need to rebuild, and I'm not giving them the pick back, or it's going to cost them an arm and a leg. Or I'm trying to, convince somebody in some kind of a crazy trade, give me your 27 future, and I'll give you something now that makes it worth it. Because if I don't get 1 or 2 or 3 in the 27 class, I'm not saying that pick won't be valuable, but it won't be that fucking gemstone of those elite players. So if I was doing this also, I'm looking to probably pick hoard and try and get clusters, but also get clusters of those teams where it's like, man, I got a chance to get myself a real shot at that pick, or I need to rebuild and make sure I'm giving my team one of those chances. All right, this is a good one from Koopa. I'm seeing lots of people ask about it. Are you trying to move any of your 25 picks right now to maneuver up or down, or are you staying pat until we get a little more information and learn more about this class? Love the question, Coop. I got my thoughts. Mike, where are you at?
So first things first about it, right? Like if you are trying to move stuff right now, if you're trying to move all over the place or up or down or left or right, it doesn't really matter. Think about where we're at in the process. Like if you put this in the context of a Texas Hold'em game, you just got dealt your 2 cards. Now, if you're trying to move up or down, that's essentially you're going all in. You're pushing them chips in the middle. Already, you just got 2 fucking cards. God damn, I hope they're aces. Like, I hope they're aces. You ain't even seen the flop yet. And you're that like, we still got the combine. We still got the actual NFL draft and landing spots and the analysis that comes after that. We're not betting on the turn. We're not betting on the river. We're like, fuck it. We got our 2 cards. We're good to go. Let's start making moves. There's really no reason to. There really isn't. But I will say, with this class the way it stands right now, because we got this question in the Discord and somebody asked about it. They got the 101. I think they got the offer of, it might have been my man Castle Black. I think he got the offer of the 103 or the 108 for his 101 in this class. Ideally, I'd like to punt. Like, I'd rather just, fuck it, you guys figure this shit out. Give me some 26 and some 27 picks, and I'll slow play this for years down the road where I feel a little bit more solid. But I will say this. With the way this class is shaping up right now and what I told him, your best play is probably to hold until you get more information. And like Koopa's last thing, until you get more information. Your best play probably is to let rookie hype build up. But on the surface right now, it is not a bad move, just how this class shakes out. Because Ashton GT probably, after our film session and some of the other ones subsequently that we've watched, is probably going to be 101 for a lot of people, almost universally across the board. You can already kind of see the writing on the wall. The problem I have is he's the 101 But the second and third and probably the fourth running back that come off the board are almost just as good and are probably getting pretty good draft capital as well. Like maybe not first round, but early day two kind of guys. If I got the 101 and you're telling me the 101 is a running back, and then the other guys at his position are almost as good and going to have solid draft capital, dude, I'm probably getting one of those dudes with the 108. You know what I mean? Like I'm not that far off. And then you toss in whatever the 103 is, maybe I go quarterback or maybe I go wide receiver or whatever. Like I'm probably going to do it. It seems antithetical in a class that is so devoid of superstar talent, but it just makes everything so bunched together where trading back becomes like the optimal kind of strategy. Is like, I'm going to take multiple shots at this. And if you think that you're so fucking right that you can pick the one guy in this class that's going to be worth it, go for it. But I'm going to take 2 or 3 shots at it and see if I can do it. The only caveat I would make is, like in 2022 was also kind of a shitty class, Adam. And in that one, just the way it shook out, it was like Breece Hall was the only thing we felt good about. We didn't really know that Kenneth Walker was going to be good or get the draft capital that he did at the end of the day. So at this time in January of 2022, we're like, Now, if you wanted to trade up and consolidate in that one, like I'm just locking Breece Hall up and fuck the rest of y'all.
Yeah.
That's the move where you're like, dude, there's only one of these guys. I'm just going to go get him and we'll see how it shakes out. But this class right now, my feeling is it couldn't be any more farther from the opposite. It's like 22, kind of shitty, but the 101, there's other good backs at the same position, which makes it really tough for me to go like, I want to move up. So I would say either move down or sit pat and hold until you get more information. Like sit pat. There's no rush on it. So like, why do you have to force it? But trading down right now, if you got like multiple other first round picks in this class, not the worst thing.
Yeah. I think I'll say this, right? On the surface, on everything you just hit on, like I get the idea and I think it can definitely work out for you. And a lot of people that are in the position of drafting the 101, right? And I think this is a big part of it. If it's your team, right? So you've earned the 101. You probably have some cleanup to do. Now, one of the other things to keep in mind, I don't know if he has like the 101 and a handful of other picks, right? If you already have a handful of other picks, I don't know that I'm necessarily looking to, grab the 103 and the 108 if I have 102 and I have 104 and I have 106. All those things aside, if we just talk about it from the surface, what we know today, the reason I probably still would argue to hold a little bit longer is this. I think this class doesn't actually have that many, to your point, we talk about the 27 classes like, man, we know the early picks are going to be just so fucking valuable. I think the 101 in any given class is always going to be super, super valuable. Not necessarily from the player aspect of if you sit there and you draft Ashton Genty or whoever it would be, right? Whether it's Genty or it's fucking, you draft a quarterback, it's Shador or Cam. The 101 itself is one of those picks where, like, I don't know in this class, basically my point would be, I don't know that I'm looking to get the 108 as the extra leverage piece right now. I'm not saying I wouldn't end up making that trade, but I think right now, if that trade's available to you today in January, I'm not saying it's definitely going to be available to you in, a few months, but it probably will be because people always want to trade up for the 101, especially in a lot of these lineup formats. One of the things I'm thinking of is, can I get 103 in a different asset? To your point, like you want to punt into 26. Like I'm probably trying right now to leverage the 101 for a 103 in a player that's a little more secure than the 108. Not that I wouldn't draft the 108 and have a good chance of that player to accrue value. More so, I have the piece that you want, and the 108 is so unknown at the moment, and there's so much that still needs to take place for the 108 to accrue the value. Probably also me drafting that player because I think a lot of the players in the 108 to 112 mix are going to end up going similarly in values. They're not going to be, cornerstone viewed type of players because the wide receivers aren't that great in this class. So it's not that the 2 running backs isn't a better play, but I probably also need to see them play well, do good in production, and then try to trade them. So if I'm in this position, I'm probably holding 101 right now. And overall, when I'm just thinking about like the 25 picks in this class, I'm only maneuvering up if I can get to the 101 cheaply or like for something that's not going to cost me an arm and a leg. Other than that, I'm probably just going to stay pat. I think right now there's a lot of information that needs to come out where like, I'm not going to say I won't move picks and I won't try to get more picks in this class, but by and large is on the surface, I'm kind of looking for these to accrue more value and then move on from the picks. I think right now there's too much time where when we look, and Mike, we're talking about this soon. When we start having combine, all these fucking picks are going crazy. All these picks are going crazy. So
every year,
103 and 108, to your point, by then we'll start making more sense. I'm not telling you can't make that trade. I just right now, when I think about the 101, I'm looking to see everybody really start foaming at the mouth for Ashton Genty, for all these other players. And now I want to move 101. That's kind of my thought process.
I like how you said his last name right, so the YouTube commenters don't get fucking mad, right? They're going to say Adam knows ball and Mike doesn't because he calls him GT.
Well, Mike, believe me, I'll fuck it up sooner or later. They know I don't know ball. They hate me. They hate the way I think about ball, you know?
It's the most fucking idiotic YouTube comment I've ever seen in my entire life. Congratulations.
Do you think Rob Gronkowski knows? Well, Rob Gronkowski with us and on the side.
Rob knows ball. Rob knows ball.
When I don't know if this is a question or not. When commentators and people running stats regarding Chiefs at home and playoffs, regarding penalties or questionable calls, it's just not by chance. Well, everybody has their opinion. We got Rob Gronkowski with another question. By the way, feel free. This is AMA for, I don't know, another, we'll call it 15, 20 minutes here, and then we're gonna bounce. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on what it means to play Dynasty in a 3-year window? Sure. Mike, I'll let you go.
So the biggest, most simple form of this, Rob, is that so much shit will change in 3 years. So much shit. It's absolutely ludicrous how much stuff.
Can I give you a quick example? 3 years. Think about to the point of the 27 class, right? So the 27 class, if we think about it, we kind of move back. The 24 class, which we just had, right? Like, people were saying there's going to be Kayshon Boutte, right? Not even Malik Neighbor. Like, Kayshon Boutte was fucking going to be him.
That was the guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, in general, the college prospects and the player, Kayshon Boutte's not even on the fucking map on Keep Trade Cut. His teammate is actually Malik Neighbor, is one of the top 3 assets at the receiver position. So just, that's one of the points Mike's making in general, and that's just a quick way to think about it. So much will change that I promise you could think right now you have all the information in the world, and you have all the information at the time, but what will change is just tremendous. Go ahead still.
And this is none the more evident by just looking at, like, startup ADP, right?
Sure.
Like, how much shit changes within 3 years. All right, so 2022, August of 2022, right before the season started, startup ADP. So 3 years ago plus minus a couple months.
Yeah.
Minus a couple months. We're talking Justin Herbert's the 101 in ADP. Justin Herbert. You remember those days?
I sure do. I remember vividly.
What's happened to Justin Herbert since then?
Well,
Besides,
you know what's crazy is
the major playoff, malfunction and terrible.
The crazy part is I'd be curious to see what ADP says, but currently KTC says while he's down quite a bit from 101, don't get it twisted, 18th overall. That's with a lot of receivers going up. 22, he didn't have receivers going that high, right? But just in general, still, while it's been a tremendous downward spike, he's 18 and quarterback 7. So, like, not good from 101, but I think relatively to what we know has taken place the last 3 years, it's not as bad as I would have thought. What does ADP say, or do you have it up?
No, so I'm just looking at it right now in 2022.
Just 22. Okay, yeah, got it.
2022 guys that are in the first round that are not even fucking close to the first round right now, like today. Okay, Justin Herbert. No.
What up? Hello.
Dak Prescott was QB7, the 108.
You know what's crazy? He's like going into this year startups. He was a second, third round pick, so it's not like crazy this year. But now we're looking forward another year. This guy won't be in the top maybe 4 rounds, honestly, right?
Jonathan Taylor was RB1, the 109.
Yeah, currently very far from the first round. He will be. Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. Go ahead though.
Kyle Pitts, tight end 1, first round pick.
I'm not gonna comment on that one.
Christian McCaffrey, RB2, the 112.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, RB3, 202. Cooper Kupp, Adam, you're gonna love this one, 204. Trey Lance, current backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, Austin Eckler, Najee Harris,
Deshaun Watson, Javonte Williams. This is your second round, people. This is your second round of startups. You got fucking Trey Lance 49ers jersey. I love it, man.
Here. Fucking burn the thing. Guy can't even play in fucking Dallas, you know?
Come on, man. That's a collector's item. Don't fucking get rid of that.
I don't know. Maybe. It might. It's probably more valuable to me or some dynasty player than anyone else in the world at this
Aaron
point.
Rodgers was almost a second round startup pick.
Where was Matt Ryan?
Ooh, he might be down here a little ways. Stephon Diggs. Saquon Barkley was a third rounder, Adam. Plus, he's still a third rounder.
Not bad.
Justin Fields. Derek Carr was QB 17. Dalvin Cook, not even in the league anymore. Third rounder. Mac Jones is up here. Tom Brady is on this list. He's retired. If you want any more reason to play in 3-year windows, look how much has changed just off of that in the last 3 years. Right? Do you think a lot of those people who are taking Dak Prescott thought, within a couple of years, Dak Prescott will not even be sniffing the second round of a dynasty startup?
No. And I mean, even last year, right? Think about it this way. Even last year, you probably were like, he's still going to be fine. I mean, shit, even all offseason, I was like, yeah, he'll be fine. Well, he got hurt and he didn't play that well this year. So
when people were taking Deshaun Watson at the end of the second round that year, did they think all of a sudden
this was despite some of the off the field stuff, and it's like,
yes,
when he comes back, he's just gonna be good. We know that for sure, right?
Austin Eckler's just out here producing every year. I'm taking him as the RB4.
He'll age fine because he receives. He's a receiving style back. He'll be fine.
In 2022 was the last year that you got anything out of him, right?
You got something out of him, but not the fucking cost of that, right?
Cooper Kupp's up here. DeAndre Swift. Right?
Yeah, right. Plenty of them. I think the thing also to remember, too, right? Now, think about this. Each year, subsequently, all that data from 22, part of the thing that changes is, like, let's call it fucking frankly what it is. We don't even know anything really about Jaden Daniels being a first-round pick, realistically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't know a lot of the names even, let alone how they're going to slide in with draft capital and how high they're going to go. But regardless of which ones they're going to be, you're almost guaranteed to pencil in future picks and players that get drafted with those future picks into this mix up and down. Because frankly, right, think about the 22 rookies that were probably going in that range, right? Some of those players, right? And they're going to be up and down drastically, and a lot of them completely out of the mix, meaning if you think about it from this standpoint, you probably draft some later 2022 players. So the 110, 111, 112s. I can't think of the bust off the head right away, but some of the players that are literally outside of fucking, no one cares about them anymore. They were just rookies in 22,
Breece Hall would have been the highest 22 guy.
By a lot. Yep.
End of the third round. Think about
and
that.
That tells you how shitty the class was, right?
Rookie 101s going the end of the third round of a startup. Wow. Interesting year. I'm trying to think of some of these other guys in 22. It was a pretty big fall off for a lot of them.
And I think
Drake London. There we go.
There you go, London.
58. Pick 58.
And he's definitely ahead of that now. He's a top
wide receiver 17.
What's crazy is he's not that much higher up, but he is though. He's a wide receiver. What? I'd say 13ish. Let me find out what he's on.
Kenneth Walker, RB 24.
He's definitely increased from that point.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There it is. Matt Ryan, QB 24, pick 72.
Subsequently out of the league.
There's a Carson Wentz sighting, QB 25. That's fun.
Damn, player. By the way, Drake London's wide receiver 9.
Treylon Burks, are wide receiver 30.
There you go. Treylon Burks is a player, an asset that no one will. He does not move the needle anything but negatively in a trade right now, right? Like, no, I don't want your Treylon. Get it out of here.
I love seeing these names too. Allen Robinson, wide receiver 33.
But the point is, right, I think overall when you kind of think about all that data, and the point here is that think about it in windows of 3 years. So the way I think about this, if I'm not contending at the moment, I'm looking to get myself into a window of contention, meaning, okay, I'm looking to rebuild my team for the next year or two. And then I'll have a window from, let's call it 25 to maybe 26 to try to compete, 27 to try to compete. But if you look at things in too long of a window, right? It's like, okay, I'll give you an example. You kind of hoard, let's say, the 23 class in years past, right? And you think, okay, these players are all going to be super valuable and super great. Okay, you can do the same thing with 27, whatever the class might be. You draft all these players; they're not all going to hit and stay for all time, right? They're not. You're unlikely without having kind of a having your cake and eat it too mentality, meaning you're playing the market from both sides of contention and having young assets, to have one of these juggernaut teams that's just able to play and be a high-end contender for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons. Realistically, if you're playing in a league where the assets are going to be moving a lot, more reasonably, and teams that are rebuilding or doing it in the proper way, your window is best thought about in winning the first, and let's call it 2 to 3 years, right? The 2 to 3 year window, because we also, one, we don't know what's going to fucking happen. So much will change. But two, you're not going to have the right assets, and you're going to have to trade away a lot of your desirable assets to try to continue to, take care of injuries and all the things that are going to happen to your team. So that's kind of, I think, overall why you don't want to think about it past 3 years, personally.
Well, think about you, man. You built the greatest super team I have ever seen. Okay, like I'm not gonna jerk you off. It's facts, right? Anybody who plays in the OG shit league saw the greatest super team ever assembled in a Dynasty best ball league, and it is never going to be surpassed by anybody else, right? Because nobody else is going to get all 12 fucking draft picks in a class, plus multiple draft picks in future classes from a lot of people who fucking sucked and ended up being very high, right?
Yeah.
Adam did it, and he built a super team. Think about it. Last year was your first year.
Yeah.
2023. Last year was your first year in your contention window, right?
Yep.
You made the moves to be in a contention window. You went out, flat out, just bricked the rest of the league and dominated.
Yep.
What happened this year? I, as the second best team who lost to you the year before, threw my motherfucking team back into a dispersal and said, like, fuck this. I'm not going to run into a brick wall. I'm good.
I'd rather not contend with the contenders, right?
I threw that shit back into a dispersal and still ended up as the second best team in the league. But I got bounced in the playoffs. You steamrolled right to the championship game. And what happened this year in that championship game to you?
I end up losing.
You end up losing. Now, you're going to head into 2025 probably, and I would assume, is what you think is your last year of, like, this was my 3-year window. I got 1 championship already. I'm hoping I can run it back and maybe get 2 out of 3 years.
Yeah.
But after this year ends, you are probably going to realistically look at your team and go like, dude, so much has changed from fucking 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, dudes I thought were going to be studs forever are now just fucking turd burgers that I need to get rid of. Maybe I need to retool or rebuild or, I don't think you're going to go like full nuclear back to like, I'm trying to get all 12 fucking draft picks again in the class. But, but right. Like you can be honest and say that like you can feel the clock ticking on this super team. And it only lasted a brief moment. Like in reality, it only lasted 3 fucking years where you felt really good about it. And now it's like, shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean,
it
realistically,
so much in Dynasty. That's why you got to look at it in 3 years, because I think if I'm a contender, Adam, like if I'm a rebuilder and I look at it in 3-year windows, I'm getting into youth. I'm getting into dudes I think can ascend. I'm getting into draft capital, stuff that's very safe, right? Stuff that's going to go up in value. If I'm a contender, I'm really looking at it like, dude, I'm trying to win year 1. If it fails, hopefully I did a good enough job roster construction. I can probably run it back year 2, but year 2 is going to be my pivot, right? Like if it was really fucking shaky, all right, fuck it, I'm out. Like year 2 is my year to sell the Aaron Rodgers and the Tom Brady's and like these dudes before they fucking retire and brick to 0.
Yep.
Like that's my buffer year. And then year 3 is my full on, fuck it, we rebuilding this thing. Like we're done. That's why you look at it in 3-year windows, right? If you're a contender, that second year is like your pivot year. You figure out whether like I'm doubling down or I'm going, nah, we good. We good.
For sure.
This ain't happening.
And to give context, right, like that team is still right now what I could tell you the team has asset-wise without a lot of picks. Most of my picks I've traded in now, but has some of the best players that you'll find. I mean, I have like just right now, Josh Allen, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Those are all those guys are all first round draft startup picks, right? Like not even talking about the rest of the players I have on my team. The point is though, to Mike's point, right? I have plenty of guys on my team where it's Isaiah Pacheco, Alvin Kamara, David Montgomery, James Conner, Aaron Jones. You can do a lot of stuff. Like, Mike, this team is far from a guarantee to be out of the contention mix when 26 comes around. But at the same point, if we're just thinking about how much we can't project, there's a realistic chance where what this team looks like today versus what it looks like going into 26, really different. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, what are the teams looking like that are hoarding all the picks? What are the teams looking like that are making winning moves? Eventually the clock kind of changes. No matter how good or bad your team is, no matter how different your league is from top to bottom, those things kind of change. And it's just unlikely outside of, super, I would say, rare scenarios or just, overall leagues where it's maybe not that competitive or some people kind of continue to make the same mistakes over and over, feeding into some, stud teams, right? Outside of those type of leagues, going past a 3-year window is just very hard to do. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's hard to do. It's not something that I think in most leagues I'd recommend trying to do in general. So we could probably go forever on that one. Here's a good question. Huh?
We got an Alan Soslowski.
I put that up. He says, what up, boys? The YouTube algorithm feeding me shit content. Now I got to stay. Hey, you're welcome to stay anytime, Alan. Always.
By the way, for anybody who doesn't know, we got a new channel, South Harmon Vibes, headed by Fizz. This is going to be Fizz's baby. I'm on there too, but this is Fizz's baby. The cook-up went over to the South Harmon Vibes. And
I don't know, Dewey. Okay, I don't know. We lost. Damn it. Okay.
Alan joined T-Rock and Fizz for the cook-up on Tuesday, and I happened to be tapping into it while I was taking a dump at work. And Alan put in the chat, like, Pixar didn't happen. I actually did send Alan a selfie from the shitter.
Nice. I fucking love that.
I had, like, the thigh. My right thigh was in the picture. And then, how, like, all the work shitters, they got the toilet paper, the dual toilet paper, like, holder.
For sure.
I got my dude wipes sitting on top of it, ready to go. Locked.
Dude wipes. If you're not hearing this and begging to be a part of the shit claim. I mean, come on.
I don't know what else they want from me. The sponsorship just writes itself.
While the algorithm feeding people content, there's dude wipes. Literally, I mean, come on.
I mean, the story writes itself, but I did actually send a selfie to Alan. Alan can attest. Mike sent a, half-naked thigh, white as motherfucker, with some dude wipes in the background. Like, Alan, I am really watching this show while taking a dump at work.
I tapped in. It was a good one, man. T-Rock and fucking Alan Soslowski and Fizz. It was a fun one. Questions though, we still have right for AMA, and we're getting close to wrapping it up. So get your questions in, and we're getting out of here. We love you, but listen, I got a big guy to get to bed. It's just the way it works. Now you see that glass? You hear that clink? I have Daniels.
To the bottom.
I have Daniels, Lamar, May, and JJ. I'm assuming JJ for Justin Jefferson. Are you guys higher on May?
No.
Is that
JJ McCarthy?
JJM? Okay. For those that want to know, moving forward with AMA, for the sake of trying to clarify these two, give us JJM. All right. Like, I love McCarthy, not as much as Mike, but he hasn't earned that yet. JJM. He can have one more fucking initial. Okay.
He hasn't earned that yet. I love it.
Are you guys higher on May or JJ? I mean, it's May by quite a bit. I mean, listen, I'm not telling you that McCarthy won't end up having, a pretty good season, has a lot of good weapons around him, but what May's done and where his value's at right now is just honestly close to unthinkable. I mean, really, he's a top 7-8 quarterback that didn't start right away, showed promise, showed a lot of upside, but like for him to be this high is at this point, for what he had to work with and what he was given, very close to high range of outcomes. So this is May pretty easy to me.
The question answer is May. Like, I'm
by
higher
far
on May. I love JJ, but I'm higher on May.
Everybody is, yeah.
To 4D this thing, you should keep JJ
and move May. But May is of the okay. Here's the thing, right? If I have this. I don't know what the format is, so Anthony, if you're still with us, please let us know. Lineup start 9, lineup start 10, best ball, whatever your format is. Because here's the thing about it, right? If I'm going to lineup start 9, 10, even 11, frankly, even 12 probably, Mike, when I have this, I would absolutely love to move May even at 80% of the fucking cost of what you think he's worth right now, right? To keep Daniels and Lamar. Like, if that's what it took, versus moving those guys at 100% of cost, probably.
Yep.
So, that said, I think realistically, the play here is if you could move anyone, if I could move May even at 80% of what he's worth, I'd rather do that, keep J.J. McCarthy as my 3, slide him right into that, and frankly, I'd probably be willing to move him on a value bump as well and get a lower cost quarterback 3 because you can probably liquidate McCarthy. Just I'm not looking to do that right now because his value hasn't increased enough yet. I think right now the play is keep Daniels, keep Lamar, unless there's a Godfather fucking offer for them. Like, I'm holding those in a lineup format and I'm moving May.
Here's the thing with May too. I'm also not moving him cheap, right? I know he wants to get into a wide receiver, but if you're talking like 1-for-1 straight up, bro, you got to give me like CeeDee Lamb or Amon-Ra or Puka.
Yeah, I mean, if you could get those, I would say this: if you could get those guys straight up,
that's what I mean.
That's 100%. That's 100%.
If you want to go wide receivers that are around Drake May, like, I'm asking for a plus. Like, that's how big of a dick I'm being. Like, when it comes to moving Drake. But even though I got 4 quarterbacks, it's January, motherfuckers. I don't have to move a quarterback. And good luck trying to backfill this with your 25 picks. Like, props to you if
Brian
you can
Thomas Jr. or May.
Drake May.
Would you move it straight up? I guess is what I'm asking. Let me rephrase.
No. I would ask for a plus on top of Brian Thomas Jr. That's how big of a dick I'm going to be.
What about Nico? Would you do it for Nico?
Nope. I'm asking for a plus on top of Nico, too.
Here's what I'll say. Those are the 8 receivers that if you wanted to do it straight up, I could get on board with, okay? Outside of that, though, Mike, for sure, I'm not even saying I would do that. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is if I'm looking to do this and it's a 1-for-1 swap, if you're outside of those names, you shouldn't be doing it because the leverage. There's not a reason right now probably to do so. Like just think about the other names. It's not worth the return for 1-for-1, right? Especially once you get past what you think of Nico and what you think of Brian Thomas Jr. I'm not going to tell you. Like, you can kind of navigate those waters. I think those are up to you. Drake London, Ladd McConkey, Marv, JSN. Like, I'm not getting. Like, that player in value is just not worth the risk I'm taking on, frankly, to move on from May at the moment. All offseason you have, right?
Well, that's the thing, Adam. Drake May is at 7 or 8 or whatever you say, like in people's rankings,
right?
Based on doing what he did last year with a terrible cast, right? And there is some projection already baked into it, right? There's some improvement baked into that ranking.
This changes everything. Mike's favorite 10-team.
Yuck. Okay.
Let's see. And Anthony, here, everybody listening, everybody here still, right? We have our most people. Well, not quite 116, close to it.
Yeah.
Everybody listening. This is why it's so important. Why I ask for context because it can change everything. People don't think it, and then all of a sudden you give us context. It's like, oh shit, no. We are backtracking. Mike would take, and I know this for a fact.
Yes.
Every receiver he mentioned, he would take, and
plus Drake London,
plus London, plus Ladd, plus JSN, plus Garrett Wilson, plus fucking AJ Brown, plus all. Yes. It's 10-team, right? And think about this from a standpoint of in a 10-team league, everybody, when they have 2 starting quarterbacks in a superflex league, right? Even in a start 9 where it's a 2 of your positions are quarterbacks versus everyone else, so that only leaves 7 skill players to catch up. Everybody starts 2. Mike, you're at how many? You're at fucking 20. So there's not a scarcity issue, right? You still when you look at 20 quarterbacks, like, people are feeling comfortable, right? They don't feel like they have to make the move for May. His value changes wildly in a 10-team and a 12-team league.
No offense, Anthony, but I'm going to get back to finish my point in regards to a 12-team league.
Go ahead, please. Sure.
Right, for all the normal people out here with lots of friends.
Damn, Anthony, I still love you, for the record. Mike can shit on you all
I still love you too. I'm just saying, like, you need a couple more friends. All right, that's it. Call a few buddies up.
What's good, Grant?
I was going to say this, like, the positional scarcity, with Drake May, and what I was trying to get to is where he's at 7 or 8 or however you rank him right now.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of projection already baked in. Like, he's going to get a little bit better. Maybe the system will get a little bit better. But we still haven't actually materialized it yet. So if it does happen, right, they do sign a T. Higgins, for example,
or they do draft some offensive line, and maybe in the second round they get a wide receiver that we liked or whatever, they start to add to this Drake May, like the value is still going to increase, even though there's already a little bit of projection baked in. When it's actually materialized and you can actually fucking physically see it, they drafted offensive line, they changed coaching staffs, they've brought in T. Higgins, they've spent $120 million in free agency, and $60 million of that was on the offense, right? Holy shit, Drake May might be QB6 or QB5. There's still room to grow. I'm not necessarily just going to let him go right now in January when I haven't fully realized what the actual potential value bump could be. So that's in a 12-team league. In your 10-team league question,
but
that, man. I'll trade Drake May for a lot of wide receivers.
Well, let me tell you straight up what I'm doing, because one of the things that I think I actually think very much so, Mike, by doing a lot of reviews in the last year, right? It's 10 and 12 teams, and seeing how much the groupthink is not that different on 10 team than 12, even though we've seen in Warp and how the way that it should realistically market-wise be. I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing right now. It's not caught up enough. I'm going J.J. McCarthy and May. I'm packaging them up to get the receiver I need, because here's the thing. What I just told you, scarcity doesn't exist. I don't need a quarterback 3. I'll go fucking find one if worse comes to worse and Daniels or Lamar gets hurt. I don't need it.
I'm gonna do a Jim Nagy here. Okay.
Oh God.
Dude, Jim Nagy here. Shout out to him too, man. He brought the Senior Bowl into prominence, right? I love what he's doing. I just think maybe on Twitter dunking on the Shrine Bowl and getting all the backlash wasn't the greatest move. You should have deleted that tweet pretty early. But besides the point, I'm gonna do a little Jim Nagy here. By all accounts, a lot of other fucking places that I consume content from or have seen content will tell you, Adam, and why people believe there's no difference between 12 and 10 teams is because other fucking people tell them that there's almost no difference between a 12 and a 10 team Superflex, and there is a fucking chasm.
But the best part, though, because you're right, and the best part is a lot of time, Mike, I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of people that tell me, no, well, it's actually really not that different. I will admit I don't play in 10 team leagues. However, I've seen Warp, I've seen what the scoring formats are, and I've helped coach enough people through 10-team leagues where it is a absolute catastrophic event to have too many quarterbacks relative to a 12-team league, where the scarcity and the leverage builds up in a 12-team league. In a 14-team league, even more so. But in a 10-team league, that leverage and scarcity doesn't actually get felt. So the only way that actually moves the needle is if you have someone that's super desperate in a rare situation that buys into that quarterback. It just doesn't work that way mathematically.
So we're going to have a real honest moment here for me. A
Brace for the 102?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Just a real honest moment for me. It just came to my mind, Adam. I try my best, especially if you see South Harmon Fantasy Football, or now South Harmon Dynasty Football, by the way, in case anybody saw, we changed the fucking name, meaning there's going to be a redraft focused channel, seasonal league focused channel coming real fucking soon. Headed up by our very own Matty Kiwum, because he's fucking a stud. If you see that YouTube channel reply to your comment, and it's in regards to a 10 team or a 1 QB, because I've also replied to this in the past, Adam, and you're talking about QB hoarding, right? I did this at a 10 team, I'm QB hoarding in this, or I'm QB hoarding in a 1 QB league. And the response was very PC, I can probably wishy-washy. I can see it work. Just know I was lying through my motherfucking teeth. You're a fucking idiot if you QB hoard in a 10 team or a fucking 1 QB league. All right.
Mike was on his shit. He was drinking. Okay, he was trying to lean into it. He leaned a little too far into the lean and to the drink. 102 or Brees? Where you at? For the record, the context here is going to be 12-team Superflex lineup start 9 or 10.
Give me the 102. Give me the 102 for what I could potentially do with it.
It's a good. This is a good conversation. In Superflex, because of the quarterbacks, makes it very, very real. I won't fight you on the 102 if you wanted to go that route. There's a part of me that wants to lean into the Brees here, honestly. I think this comes down to the way you play, though. I think this comes down to the way I'm looking to approach my situation in my league, right? Breece Hall to me, Mike, he's currently running back 5, and he's one of these assets that I think this is probably as low as we can get on Breece without him getting an injury coming into next year, right? When we think about the position. The reason I don't want – can I tell you the reason I want to keep Breece versus move to – I don't think Breece is at a value – a problematic value place, and I feel like his value has a chance to regain, his resurge. Those are the assets I don't really like to move right now, right? So that's my problem overall with Breece in this trade is like, I'm not saying you can't take the 102, and the 102 is going to increase in value. I think right now you have to hold Breece all the way until the season, which is why if you took the 102, I won't fight you. But I feel like Breece has so much upside still to capture. The problem is if he doesn't have a good year this year, he gets hurt. What do we know? He's going to dip. He's going to get more into that Jonathan Taylor range. So
yep.
I personally, I would like to be bullish on Breece, but I think probably the correct process play would be to take the 102 right now.
So one, you're correct on current ADP, like the information we have right now has Breece over the 102 pick by about a half a round. So Breece is the 308. And the 102 is going at the 401, Adam, which tells me two things. One, the 102 in January 29th being the 4th round pick, Adam, tells me there's a lot of people don't like this fucking class or not very sure about it. They are very sure on Ashton Genty.
Genty. Wow.
Genty, you fucking
He
asshole.
can speak.
Because he's going in the mid-second. Mid to late
And
second.
he can talk.
The 101. I will say you're right on the second point though. The 401 with that 102, that's going to rise throughout this off-season process. It's a guarantee. 100%. It's going to end up somewhere in the second round, and that 101 is also going to move up probably to 204, 203 at worst.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to move. The 102 in ADP wise is going to be valued above Breece Hall here within the next month.
I mean, I think for sure by the time the combine's around, it will be. Like, that's just going to happen. I mean, every league is different, but by that point, any league, it's going to be the case.
I said a month, and just let this fucking sink in. The combine is
a month. It's in March. Yeah, it's true.
End of February, baby.
Yep. So, to the point, I think it's a good question. It's a very reasonable one. I think the way you play is honestly going to factor into that. Okay, are y'all concerned about Rashi next year with Worthy step up? I'll say this. Worthy to me is he's made some big strides, and there's no way to knock Worthy's progression. I think the way in which they're using him and the way in which I think Rashee Rice was being used, I'm not gonna say this. I'm not per se worried about the way that they're going to use Worthy and that can they coexist. I'm not. My biggest thing is Rashee Rice going to step into the target share he was at? Is he going to be healthy right away? Like those are more so the worries for me. At the end of the day, that's why it's a little hard for me to buy into Rashee Rice, especially when you see what his fucking price is on most markets. If I have shares of him or if I've acquired them, I'm looking to flip them around where he's at of wide receiver 16, to be completely honest with you. Because, yes, Rashee could get back to close to Nico's range in the best case scenario. I hate to tell y'all, though, that's from asset 38 to asset 20. Like, that's the upside. The downswing is a lot different. So it's not worthy per se. Like I think Mahomes could support 2 to 3 weapons, no problem. It's more so just Rashee in general.
My biggest problem with Rashee Rice is the fact that his value is maintained for so long and it's been so high, kind of like you alluded to. Like he's been a pretty big sell because there's uncertainty with him. I don't have a lot of uncertainty. Jesus Christ. I don't have a lot of uncertainty with the injury part. Like, I think he's going to be fine by the time training camp rolls around. It wasn't as significant as we thought it was going to be. Like, it was a lot of doom and gloom in the wee hours. My biggest issues with Rashee Rice was his value maintained for far too long. And there's some uncertainty, especially with, is he getting suspended next year?
That's a big part too. Yep.
Like, is he going to miss games? So I would say right now with Worthy's little bit of ascendance and Rashee with a little bit of uncertainty, I put Worthy over and I'm a worthy homer though. So
Damn.
full transparency, I've been a worthy homer. I put worthy over him. It doesn't really have to do with like his super ascendance. Like it's not completely. It's just more. It's more a sheep problem. It's kind of like you tell that girlfriend that you don't really like. It's not you, it's me. Like I need to work on me. It's not you, it's me.
Speaking of not you, it's me. It's not you, it's me. We got to get out of here. We're gonna rapid fire 3 questions and we're gonna bounce. Okay, I got 3 questions. Any questions you can ask, we'll try to get to them next week or something. But today, not happening. All right. What positions have more scarcity in a 10 team? I get the point about quarterbacks, so pivot to skill players. Yeah, the point is, right, because the scarcity doesn't exist for the quarterbacks, it's also not like scarcity exists per se to any position. What does exist, though, is all those receivers you can start. Everybody wants to start. So really what becomes the scarce asset is the elite cornerstone, especially high-scoring players. So that would be the wide receiver position, the running back position, depending on format, again, depending on how much the premium is, potentially tight ends. But by and large, it's just the players that have elite value at receiver and possibly running back, and then also those that score very highly. So if you're talking aging assets in a 10 team, but they're, really productive, Mike Evans types, right? Okay, those are the ones you're talking about in a 10 team. It just becomes everybody has to get more elite. All the teams become closer together. So, and you can't leverage quarterbacks. I don't think there's anything you have further, but if you have it, go ahead.
No, just the elite players become more elite, right? And specifically for me, like what becomes the most scarce for me in 10-team leagues is the super elite wide receivers. Yeah. I mean, those guys who are
Jefferson, Malik, CDs, all those, right?
If you were to look at our best ball sheet, patreon.com/South Harmon, right? Those guys who hit double-digit above average weeks, like, are very, very rare. Like, we're talking 1 or 2 a year.
Right.
So, like, to get those guys and to be able to start those guys every single week is a massive fucking advantage. And then it goes to the running back position, and then it goes to the quarterbacks, and then just like every other fucking league, then tight ends. No one really gives a shit.
Yeah. And the main thing is the quarterbacks. That's why like his conundrum's a little bit different. Like he has Daniels and Lamar. So I want the elite quarterbacks. As soon as you become not the elite, I do not care at all.
Do not give a shit. There's not a difference really between Matt Stafford and Derek Carr.
Right. And that's why Drake May for me in that format. We want to move.
Brock Purdy and fucking, Sam Darnold. No one gives a shit.
12-team, Superflex, PPR. Team 1, Puka, St. Brown, Brees. Team 2, BTJ, Ladd, 101, 26 first, and 26 second. What side here, Mike? Team 1 or Team 2? So would you rather have Puka, Amon-Ra, Brees, or Brian Thomas, Ladd, the 101 at 26 first and a second? This is in a 12-team Superflex. Chandler, also, I know everybody here, give us all the way to the brim of the context. Is this 12-team Superflex, is it lineup start 9? Is it lineup start 12? Is it best ball? This is, I know, it seems like a lineup question, but that shit matters here.
I'm going with side 1, Team 1. Puka, St. Brown, Brees.
Yeah, I am too. I think right now the way I view it, right? Puka and BTJ, honestly, like value-wise could cancel out. I'll take Puka, right? But Amon-Ra and Brees, I will take over Ladd, a 101 in the 26 first. The second, while I'd like it, doesn't really move the needle in this type of a trade for me to care enough about it. This is in basically, and that's also, just for the record, that's basically lineup start 9, start 10, start 11. Lineup start 12, maybe I'd care a little more about the fact that we get 4 assets, Mike, but I think right now, in most of the formats, lineup start 9 to 11, I'm siding Team 1. Last question. We start with and we end with Rob Gronkowski. After the combine draft, do you recommend I trade away my 106 for a 27 first? I currently have the 101. I also have 227 first. Or is the 106 still going to be a good pick? I think here's the thing, right? This is a question we can leave for a bigger expounded answer in a future date. What I'll say right now, the 106 is likely in this class even even down classes, a little too high up the board for me to pivot 1 for 1 into just a 2027 first. Now, a little more context to this. If you're telling me you're cherry picking a very early pick in the 27 class, totally different conversation, right? But I think right now I'll take the 106 in this class because of what I just talked about with the 24 class. There's so many players that they don't have to do a ton for their value to go skyrocketing up. So I think I'll take the 106 over the 27 first, just a generic one.
Yeah, even in the 2022 rookie draft class,
that was super shit for the most part, right? With
You know who was
Kenny
going in that
Pickett.
range? Well, yeah, you know who was going in that range too, though? Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you're 5, 6, and 7. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens.
Right. So there you go.
Yeah.
I think, and this is why I think this is one of the dangers for the 27 class getting so hyped up is like, you want to get those 27s, but don't want to just start giving up the great assets for them, right?
The real play, Rob, is when you get after the combine, and we're at rookie fever. You just watched some running back run a fucking 4.3 40, and he weighed at 228 pounds or whatever the fuck, and we're all salivating over it and pushing it up, and like, you're gonna get this guy at the 106, whatever it is. You get that 27 first plus.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
I still do.
All
of
a sudden, the 27 first becomes interesting. But hey, what about that 27 second, 227 seconds? Can I get your 25 second round pick this year and the 27 first? Like that, those are the type of things. Then we're like, okay, now we are cooking, my friends. Now we're cooking with gas. I think that's all we got, man. That's what we have for you today. We love you. We will see you back here, same time, same place next week for AMA and more discussion. We're out of this thing. Super Bowl time. Peace.
Go Birds. Peace.
Peace.